Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Everyone please sing. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Gokulananda Radha Gokulananda Shri Radhe Jaya Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman Jaya Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman Jaya Gauranitai 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 oh Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Prabhupada 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 Srila Prabhupada Nittai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nittai Gaura Hari Bol Nittai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nittai Gaura Hari Bol. Shri Shri Radha Gokulanand ki jai, Shri Shri Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman ki jai, Shri Shri Gaur Nitai ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. We're going to recite the Mangalacharan prayers. Please do feel free to join in if you know it. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakha Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Shri Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripa Tamaham Vande Shri Gurum Dinataranam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Everyone please raise your hands. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. So today, the Bhagavad Gita class will be based on chapter 3, Karma Yoga, verse 12. I'll recite the verse and then you can repeat. Ishtan bhogan hiyo deva Dasyante yagya bhavitaha Te dattana pradayebhyo Yo bhukte stene vasaha Ishtan bhogan hivo deva Dasyante yagya bhavitaha Te dattana pradavebhyo Yo bhukte stene vasaha. Would anyone like to have a go? Emma? Ishtan bhogan hi vo deva. Dasyante yagya bhavitaha. Terdattana pradayebhyo. Yo bhukte stena eva saha. One more person? Anyone? Ishtan bhogan hi vo deva. Dasyante yagya bhavitaha. Terdattana pradayebhyo. Yo bhukte stena eva saha. Ishtan, desired. Bhogan, necessities of life. He, certainly. Vaha, unto you. Devaha, the demigods. Dasyante, will award. Yagya bhavitaha, being satisfied by the performance of sacrifices. Teha, by them. Dattana, things given. Aparadaya, without offering. Ebhyaha, to these demigods. Yaha, he who. Punkte, enjoys. Stenaha, thief. Eva, certainly. Saha, he. Translation and purport given by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. In charge of the various necessities of life, the demigods, being satisfied by the performance of yajna, sacrifice, will supply all necessities unto you. But he who enjoys such gifts without offering them to the demigods in return is certainly a thief. So, going to read the purport. The demigods are authorized supplying agents on behalf of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Vishnu. Therefore, they must be satisfied, by the performance of prescribed yajnas. In the Vedas, there are different kinds of yajnas prescribed for different kinds of demigods, but all are ultimately offered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For one who cannot understand what the Supreme Personality of Godhead is, sacrifice to the demigods is recommended. According to the different material qualities of the person concerned, different types of yajnas are recommended in the Vedas. Worship of different demigods is also on the same basis, namely according to different qualities. For example, meat eaters are recommended to worship goddess Kali, the ghastly form of material nature, and before the goddess, the sacrifice of animals is recommended. But for those who are in the mode of goodness, the transcendental worship of Lord Vishnu is recommended. But ultimately, all yajnas are meant for gradual promotion to the transcendental platform. For ordinary men, at least 5 yajnas, known as Pancha Mahayajna, are necessary. One should know, however, that all the necessities of life that the human society requires are supplied by the demigod agents of the Lord. No one can manufacture anything. Take, for example, all the eatables of human society. These eatables include grains, fruits, vegetables, milk, sugar, etc., for the persons in the modes of goodness, and also eatables for the non-vegetarians like meat. none of which can be manufactured by men. Then again, take for example, heat, light, water, air, etc., which are also necessities of life. None of them can be manufactured by the human society. Without the Supreme Lord, there can be no profuse sunlight, moonlight, rainfall, breeze, etc., without which no one can live. Obviously, our life is dependent on supplies from the Lord. Even for our manufacturing enterprises, we require so many raw materials like metal, sulfur, mercury, manganese, and so many essentials, all of which are supplied by the agents of the Lord, with the purpose that we should make proper use of them to keep ourselves fit and healthy for the purpose of self-realization, leading to the ultimate goal of life, namely liberation from the material struggle for existence. This aim of life is attained by the performance of yajnas. If we forget the purpose of human life and simply take supplies from the agents of the Lord for sense gratification and become more and more entangled in material existence, which is not the purpose of creation, certainly we become thieves, and therefore we are punished by the laws of material nature. A society of thieves can never be happy because they have no aim in life. The gross materialist thieves have no ultimate goal of life. They are simply directed to sense gratification, nor do they have knowledge of how to perform yajnas. Lord Sri Chaitanya, however, inaugurated the easiest performance of yajna, namely the Sankirtan yajna, which can be performed by anyone in the world who accepts the principles of Krishna consciousness. There's so much to unpack here. I'm not sure if I'll be able to cover it all. But Srila Prabhupada has so nicely explained in this purport, first of all, the true meaning of our existence. And if we start off by discussing about demigods, because in the translation, Srila Prabhupada has translated that the demigods, being satisfied by the performance of yajnas, will supply all necessities unto you. So first of all, we need to address who are demigods? Who are they? So in the previous verse, chapter 3, verse 11, Srila Prabhupada says in the purport, the demigods are empowered administrators of material affairs. When someone is empowered, what does that mean? It means that they are given that power by a higher source. They're not born with it. They are endowed with it. They are blessed with certain powers. So in this context, the demigods, whatever powers they bestow onto their devotees, like Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, Lord Ganesh, and so on, the powers that they bestow on their devotees, they are actually bestowed by Shri Krishna himself. And the demigods are the supplying agents of those powers and those benedictions. The demigods are also the subordinates of the Supreme Lord. They cannot award benediction to anyone without the authority of the Supreme Lord. The living entity may forget that whatever property is in their possession, that they may forget that this actually does not belong to them in actual fact. But the demigods, they don't forget. So therefore, worship of the demigods and the achievement of desired results are not due to the demigods themselves, but because of the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Shri Krishna. So this paragraph that I just read out was from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, verse 22, where Srila Prabhupada talks about the role that demigods play. And in terms of subordinates of the Supreme Lord, so we have the 10 offenses when chanting the holy name. One of those 10 offenses is to consider the names of demigods like Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma as equal to or independent from Lord Vishnu. So it's very important to remember that demigods, it's kind of like when you are part of a big company, you have the CEO, and then you have the assistant directors, the chief operating officers, and all of those agents who work under the CEO. So whatever roles that the subordinates perform, the responsibility, the powers have been given to them by the Supreme Lord. So, furthermore to demigods, in terms of yajnas, Srila Prabhupada talks about the Pancha Mahayajnas. But in terms of yajnas, so we are part of a cycle of Kali Yuga, and the cycle repeats in terms of 4 different ages. So we have Satya Yuga, then we have Treta Yuga, then we have Dwapar Yuga, and what we are in now, we are in the age of Kali Yuga. So in Satya Yuga, can anyone venture a guess what kind of yajnas people used to perform? This is thousands and thousands of years ago, in the age of truthfulness, in the age of devotion, Satya Yuga. Anyone want to guess? What kind of yajnas would people have performed? Meditation. Constant meditation, very concentrated meditation, and not just for an hour or 2 hours a day, but thousands and thousands of years. And in Treta Yuga, what kind of yajnas do you think people performed? Care to venture a guess? So Satya Yuga is the highest yuga, and then below that is Treta Yuga. So it's still in the spiritual context. Fire sacrifice. They used to do havans. They used to do lots of havans and pujas, concentrated prayers. Next line, next level, Dwapar Yuga. What kind of yajnas do you think anyone performed in Dwapar Yuga? Deity worship. And now, in this age of Kali Yuga, Srila Prabhupada says, this is the age of quarrel and hypocrisy. Therefore, it is literally impossible to perform any sort of yajnas diligently, with full reverence, and with full devotion. So Srila Prabhupada says that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is an incarnation of Lord Krishna, he descended 500 years ago with the bhava, with the devotional mood of Srimati Radharani. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he descended, he introduced the Harinam Sankirtan Yajna, the chanting of the holy name, which in this Kali Yuga, it is the easiest yajna anyone can perform anywhere at any given time. So it can literally be performed by anyone, by a child, by an adult, by a senior citizen, by anyone. So these yajnas, essentially, they are used to please the demigods. And they are performed to please the demigods. But like I said, in this age of Kali Yuga, it's very difficult to perform yajnas because it's very difficult to find genuine brahmanas, genuine panditjis who have the sacred knowledge of the Vedas and can perform yajnas with ultimate reverence. And there are very rare breed of expert brahmanas who are available. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 12, the age of deterioration, in chapter 2, Sri Sukdev Goswami describes the symptoms of Kali Yuga. It's interesting in our Srimad Bhagavatam. So Srimad Bhagavatam is our sacred text, and it is Lord Krishna himself in the form, he's incarnated in book form, in shastric form, so we can learn about him, we can learn about the ways of the world. And in chapter 2, Srimad Bhagavatam, so of Canto 12, Sri Sukdev Goswami says, Tatascha nudinam dharmaha satyam shaucham kshamadaya Kalena balina rajan nakshatya yurbalam smritihi. So in this verse, Sukdev Goswami says, O king, so these very pillars of righteousness, religion, truthfulness, cleanliness, mercy, tolerance, duration of life, physical strength, memory, will day by day diminish by the powerful influence of the age of Kali. Day by day. It's very interesting, actually, when I read this verse in translation, and it's worth thinking about. How much of our brain capacity do we use per day? How sharp is our memory? Sometimes we try to remember, what we had for dinner last week. We struggle to remember. Some people even struggle to remember what day it was yesterday, So in this age of Kali Yuga, our human functions are gradually diminishing day by day because the age of Kali is so powerful. So therefore, in this age of Kali Yuga, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Harinam Sankirtan, chanting of the holy name of Krishna, is the most recommended, the most easiest yajna to perform. Srila Prabhupada talks about those who are unaware of the Supreme Lord and those who are unaware of Krishna, of the Supreme Lord. They can perform worship, they can offer sacrificial offerings to the demigods. It is highly recommended for them. Everything that exists is ordained by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Everything we see around us, the trees, the flowers, everything we see around us is provided by the Supreme Lord. But it is supplied by the demigods because they are the authorized supplying agents of the Supreme Lord. So all these necessities that Srila Prabhupada has described in the purport, all these necessities are provided through the Supreme Lord, but they are supplied as a distilling agent. The demigods are providing all of the necessities of life. Srila Prabhupada repeatedly says, no one can manufacture anything. So if we look around us in terms of the air we breathe, the water we drink, heat, light sources, everything is manufactured by the Supreme Lord. The flowers, the trees, the plants. And Srila Prabhupada talks about the eatables, fruits, vegetables, grains, milk. Everything is manufactured by the Lord. Humans cannot create this from scratch. Humans cannot manufacture this. Especially now with the advent of AI, technology, ChatGPT and all that jazz. We can replicate AI. What is AI? It is artificial intelligence. Everything is artificially extracted from different sources of information and put together and presented to the masses. That is AI, which is a replicate of the original source. So Srila Prabhupada's point is that no one can manufacture anything. What about the natural elements like earth, water, fire, air, ether, light? All of these are manufactured by the Lord. Have you ever seen or heard of a human being manufacturing air, manufacturing water? All the chemical compositions. What's water made of? Hydrogen and oxygen. These are all chemical compositions. Every living being, the DNA within every living being, these are created by the Supreme Lord. No one can manufacture it, In terms of raw materials, we also talked about wood, fire, metal, these elements, and also in nature, everything natural that you see around you. This morning we had such beautiful snow, and we saw, such beautiful natural sunshine as well, right? We also see from time to time, we see rainbows, we see rainfall. Everything, all of this, no man can produce this by hand. So it's very important to realize that the Supreme Lord has actually created all of this so that we are able to survive in this material world. And making proper use of this for the ultimate goal. What is the ultimate goal? We want to get out of here. This is our, Srila Prabhupada says, the material struggle of existence. We are all struggling, we are all suffering from something or the other. No one can say that they are free from worries. No one can say they're free from any stresses or anxieties. This is the age of Kali Yuga. Everyone is worried about something. So the ultimate goal, liberation, freedom, ultimate goal, going back to Krishna, going back to Godhead. So whatever ingredients we've been blessed with to survive in this material world, those people who just use it for their own selfish gain, and they keep taking and taking and taking, Srila Prabhupada calls them thieves, because they are just taking it. They're not using it for a higher purpose. They're not sharing it with anyone. One of the reasons why we have so much conflict, so much war and distress going on in the world around us, is because it's a battle of the egos. People want to take control. They want to lord it over other people. They want to lord it over other countries. For who? For what? At the end of the day, we're not going to be able to take anything with us when we die. Right? So it's just a question of whatever we've been blessed with, whatever tools, whatever skills we've been blessed with, how can we use that, all of that in gratitude and use it for a higher purpose? So Srila Prabhupada says, in this day and age of Kali Yuga, we are living in a society of thieves. Everyone is so concerned, overly concerned, about only their prosperity, their peace of mind, their happiness. They don't think about others. They don't want to share. And Srila Prabhupada talks about gross materialists as well. People who, like now we are coming up to Christmas time and everyone's going crazy on Christmas shopping. And it's just the gross accumulation of material, unnecessary material belongings that clutter up not just our homes, but our minds and our hearts as well. And why it says gross materialists? Why? Because gross as in, it's pretty disgusting to see that. That's why people who are, really, really rich and really, really affluent, some people call them filthy rich. That statement, where it comes from. Shri Radha Goklananda ki jai, Shri Sitaram Lakshmana Hanuman ki jai, Shri Gaur Nitai ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai. So gross materialists who are just concerned with constantly just accumulating lots of material wealth. And they're just focused on that sort of greed, which they think gives them happiness. We don't realize that they are actually drowning in pools of ignorance, and they're drowning deeper and deeper and deeper as each birth progresses. As they take another birth, they completely surrender and absorb themselves into this pool of ignorance. And there's no end to the greed of materialism. Everyone's actually miserable. Everyone's looking for some sort of happiness. People think that, if I buy a £500 watch, that will make me happy. If I buy the next Tesla, the latest version of an iPhone, for example, that will make me happy. Really, does that really make us happy? Or are we just kind of trying to fulfill some void in our heart and trying to cover up the misery with some sort of material gain? So it's worth introspecting. Whatever we see around us, all the adverts, all the social media bombardment, latest offers, get yourselves the latest gadget or the laptop or whatever it is. Really kind of introspect and kind of question yourself. Do I really need this? Will this help me in my spiritual quest? Or is there something more to it? So we talked about just now about how people are very miserable and they try to cover up their miseries. So Srila Prabhupada talks about the threefold miseries of life: Adhyatmika, Adhidevika, Adhibhautika. Anyone want to venture a guess what any of those could mean? Adhyatmika? Something to do with the Atma? Adhyatmika? Hema? You raise? Yeah. So miseries caused by one's own body and one's own mind. So that includes physical illnesses, mental health issues, anxieties, worries, all sorts of, even physical pain, terminal diseases our bodies go through. Adhidevika. Anyone want to guess what that could mean? Miseries. Adhidevika? Yes. So Adhidevika, misery is caused by other living beings. So if someone is envious of us, if someone wants to try and kill us, violence against other human beings or violence against other living beings, or even through something as trivial as mosquito bites, those are miseries caused by other living beings. And Adhibodhika is miseries caused by nature. Natural calamities, tsunamis, earthquakes, war, famine, drought, all those natural calamities. So Srila Prabhupada has actually dissected so many miseries into 3 different categories to help us better understand what kind of miseries are caused by the body and mind, what kind of miseries are caused by others, what kind of miseries are caused by natural calamities. So how do we get out of being miserable? How do we become free from misery? How do we become free from anxiety? So Srila Prabhupada actually has introduced a yoga ladder. He talks about a yoga ladder. So step one is karma kanda. Karma kanda helps one rise in spiritual elevation and transformation by regulating your sense gratification. So people who live like animals, eating, sleeping, mating, defending, that's all they do. But with spiritual inclination, with some sort of spiritual realization, they can come to the stage of karma kanda where they can regulate, they can control their sense gratification, they can control their bad habits. The next step up would be karma yoga, which is the yoga of one who wants to elevate themselves spiritually, but they are still attached to their work. Some people are so career-driven, some people are really talented and they want to use their skills, but they want to advance spiritually, so they try to use their skills for a higher purpose. So they've come to the stage of karma yoga. Karma yoga has 2 different stages, 2 different types. We have sakama karma yoga and nishkama karma yoga. So sakama karma yoga is one who will work and give up some fruits of his labor for spiritual evolution and realization, but he will still keep a hold on his material desires. So it's kind of like when people come to the temple, they come and take darshan. They maybe pay a donation or they offer some services, but they still have certain material desires. That's not wrong. We're all human. We all have desires. Srila Prabhupada even says, in this human form of life, it's not possible to be completely desireless. But those who are too attached to the fruits of their labor, we're not going to make very much spiritual progress if we're not able to surrender ourselves. The next stage would be Nishkam Karma Yoga, where Nishkam Karma Yoga is one who will work, but he is detached from the fruits of his labor. So he will fulfill his varnashram dharma, he will fulfill his material obligations and his duties, but he is not attached. He doesn't care how much he is paid, if he is paid at all. He doesn't care what rewards he gets, as long as he is completely detached from his work and he can focus his mental and physical capabilities in remembering Lord Krishna and performing devotional service. And then the other 3 steps go on to Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, and the topmost yogic system is Bhakti Yoga, which is what the Hare Krishna movement is all about. Bhakti Yoga, the yoga of love, the yoga of performing devotional service with love for Krishna, out of love for Krishna, out of love and devotion. So we've discussed various different points. So in terms of worshipping the demigods, we have discussed how those who are not aware of who Krishna is, those who are not aware of the magnanimity of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they can offer certain prayers and sacrifices to the demigods. But those who are demigod worshippers, they have to be very careful as well, because if they continue to worship demigods, they will get the benedictions and the blessings that they want. But then that will only be temporary. And those blessings will not last forever. And we will actually have a very transactional relationship with the demigods. That, oh, I only pray to the demigods so that I am blessed with certain boons, so I'm blessed with certain requirements and desires that I want fulfilled. So worshipping demigods, it's kind of like if you go to a hotel which has, say, 100 floors, and you book a hotel room on the 75th floor, right? There's the option of taking the stairs, or there's the option of taking the lift. Which one would you take? The lift. Why would you take the lift? It's easier, it's quicker, right? So the similar principle, worshipping demigods, you can worship them, but then you will never develop that true love for God. You will never develop that true love for Krishna. Why? Because, like I said, your relationship with the demigods is very transactional. Some people worship demigods only because they want certain things from the demigods. Like Lord Ganesh, he's prayed to remove all obstacles. Like Ma Saraswati, she's prayed to for knowledge. Ma Lakshmi, she's prayed to for money. What happens if you don't get those blessings, if you don't get that knowledge or money? Are you going to stop worshipping those demigods? It's human nature. If we don't get anything, we don't want it anymore, right? So the same principle. How long it would take for us to climb 75 floors of a hotel room? It would take ages. And we would probably be burned out by then. But if we take the lift, it goes straight up. So the principle of worshipping demigods, versus the principle of worshipping Krishna is very similar. That while worshipping demigods is long-winded, it would take many, many births for us to come to the stage of spiritual realization. But Srila Prabhupada says, if you worship Krishna, that's it. It's the lift to the highest platform. It's the lift. It's the shortcut to achieving pure love of Godhead. And by worshipping Krishna, actually, you are, in fact, actually also receiving the blessings of the demigods. Because the demigods, remember, are subordinates of the Lord. So if you worship Krishna, automatically the demigods are worshipped, and automatically they are also pleased with your worship. Lord Shiva, he is the ultimate Vaishnava. Why? He is the ultimate Vaishnava because he is the prime example of what it means to be a devotee of Lord Vishnu, a devotee of Krishna. He is the ultimate Vaishnava. So even those of us who worship Krishna, who serve Krishna, who pray to Krishna, we also pray, we can also, if we are given an opportunity or darshan of Lord Shiva, we pray to Lord Shiva, please give us some blessings so that we can learn to serve and remember Lord Krishna the way you do. So in that way, we can actually reach the highest platform of love, Bhakti Yoga, by performing devotional service to Krishna. And Srila Prabhupada says, unlike all the yagyas of previous yugas, which are literally impossible, to perform in this lifetime. Why? Because we have hundreds and thousands of different demigods, and to perform yajnas for every single one of them, financially, physically, is impossible to do it in one lifetime. But Srila Prabhupada says, just worship Krishna, and you will achieve the benedictions and the blessings of worshipping the demigods or doing other sacrificial yajnas just by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, just by remembering Krishna, performing devotional service, taking part in Sankirtan, Harinam Sankirtan. So that is my humble take on the chapter summary of, the verse summary of text 12. Does anyone have any reflections, corrections, feedback? Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Can you explain or elaborate on the difference between Nishkam Karma Yoga and Bhakti Yoga? Because when you were explaining, the two sounded very similar.
You know the answer to this, Prabhu. My understanding, I don't know how correct that would be. So, Nishkam Karma Yoga is one who will continue to do his work. He will continue to fulfill his varnashram dharma. But he is detached from the fruits of his labor. Bhakti Yoga, yes, it's similar to Bhakti Yoga, and that is my understanding. But with Bhakti Yoga, there's a higher level of surrender. Even if one doesn't fulfill, like for example, if he doesn't go to work, but, does full-time devotional service, if they have that capacity to do that, then isn't that more of a blessing? Don't we all wish that we could serve Krishna full-time and all the material needs are taken care of by someone else, right? So Nishkama Karma Yoga is one who actually does have to work out of duty, out of obligation. But in terms of Bhakti Yoga, it's more, my understanding is, please correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is that Bhakti Yoga has a higher level of surrender because Bhakti Yoga is full of love. It's an act of love. It's devotional service performed out of love for Krishna. That's my understanding. I could be wrong, Prabhu, but please, if you'd like to share some thoughts on your own question, please do. Anyone else have any reflections? We have about 10 minutes before the Aarti. No?
Which out of the three miseries is the most severe in your opinion?
It depends on the individual, I feel. And depends on what personally they've been through. Because, Hare Krishna, if you meet someone who has survived a tsunami, for example, that trauma of losing their family and going through that experience, for them that might have been the most severe misery that they've had to go through. Whereas for someone who has experienced violence towards them, any sort of abuse towards them, that type of misery could be more severe to them than others. So it entirely, I feel it entirely depends on the individual and their experiences. But any type of misery has its own severity anyway. So it's just a question of more than thinking about which is more severe. The real question is, how can we actually free ourselves from these miseries in the long term? Because certain situations, like His Holiness Keshe Maharaj says, we experience, throughout our lives, we experience life quakes. What exactly are life quakes? There are certain events that shake us up like an earthquake would do. That could include a family bereavement. We could lose someone in our family, or someone in our family, or even ourselves. We could experience serious health issues, or we could lose our job, we can become bankrupt, right? Any of those situations, any of those life quakes could happen to any one of us. And it's a question of actually introspecting. What exactly is Krishna trying to teach me here? What exactly am I supposed to learn from this? What exactly, how am I supposed to evolve? How am I supposed to grow from this particular episode, this particular life quake? So anything we do, as spiritualists, we relate everything to Krishna. The mercy, the blessings we receive from the Lord come in different forms. They could also come in the form of a life quake. Everything is a blessing in disguise. If we applied for a certain job which we thought would be our dream job, but we didn't get it, that could be a blessing in disguise. If we found someone that we would like to marry, but then that marriage didn't take place, that could be a blessing in disguise, right? So lots of different situations, lots of different, even life quakes. If our health, takes a turn for the worse, that's a wake-up call, that's a blessing in disguise. That's Krishna trying to tell us something, right? What we've been neglecting within ourselves. Krishna's trying to tell us something. We need to do more introspection. We need to perhaps look after ourselves more, physically, mentally, intellectually, spiritually. So everything can be dovetailed in Krishna's service. Everything can be dovetailed in smaranam, in remembering, in remembering Krishna in different facets of life. Anyone else have any reflections or any questions? Yes, Prabhu, you were aching to ask. Go ahead. Yeah.
Just today at 3 p.m. I visited a dentist.
Okay.
And actually I was like, I had some toothache since last 2 years. It was not severe. Just like mine now, but I eat sugar or some ice, some sweet. Like that and increase some pain. I was like neglecting. But today I just went with the dentist and she said that maybe I can work on it later. And there was some surgeries.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's, I think, it's very rare that Krishna is giving you a sign. Look, now it's time. Serious.
So what do you think Krishna's trying to tell you in this particular scenario where you've had to have dental surgery? What do you think Krishna's trying to tell you?
I'm from Gujarat, so
Yeah.
Gujarat, everyone is like lover of sweets. So I think I need to work on my sweets. So this is something from Krishna that he
Yeah.
agreed, but I'm going to.
Regulating.
And yeah, the ultimate lesson is that one day, not just one day, but all the days will go away.
Mm.
And then
Yeah.
you'll be free.
And not just your teeth, eventually your health as well overall. It will have an impact on your blood sugars and everything else. So, yes. So just like that, that Krishna's giving us all sorts of different warnings. But we also see it as Krishna's mercy, that it could have been a lot worse. It could have been a whole lot worse, right? Whenever we, recently I got injured as well. I had to go into A&E. But thankfully, it wasn't as serious. Krishna actually saved me. It could have been a whole lot worse. So my point is, whatever challenges we face, whatever situations we come across that really test our patience, test our boundaries, we just pray to Krishna for strength. We also thank Krishna in gratitude that, thank you, Krishna, you saved me from something that could have potentially been a whole lot worse. So again, remembering Krishna. How do we remember Krishna? By chanting the holy name of the Lord. How do we chant the holy name? Anyone know the Maha Mantra? Should we all sing it together? Yeah? Okay. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you all so much for attending and listening so nicely. Thank you to those of you who've joined us online. And yes, we'll see you soon. And please stay for the 7 o'clock Aarti, which will be starting in 2 minutes. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.